Astroneer is an easy game to play, but not an easy one to complete. Did you know that only 70% of Astroneer players scanned a research sample of any type, or that 49% of players reached more than 150 bytes per minute of concurrent research? If that's not low enough, 35% of players scrapped an object in a shredder. That means that 65% never actually used a shredder in Astroneer. That's insane. If that's still not enough for you, 27% of people used a trade platform. Only 27% of people used a trade platform in Astroneer. This is one of the basic modules you get in the first couple hours of the game, yet only a quarter of the players managed to use it. And here comes the worst one of them all. Only 15% of players used an atmospheric condenser to collect every type of gas. That means that the large majority, 85% of people, don't have access to all of the important materials in Astroneer. So I'd say it's pretty clear. Most people don't actually play through not even half of Astroneer. Does that mean people just get bored of it? Does it mean they don't know what's happening? Personally, I think they're getting confused. They're not sure what to do next, where to go, and the game doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't tell you now you need to go to that mission. It's not one of those games. It's not a storytelling game. It doesn't heavily rely on a narrative. It lets you decide what you want to do, and people have a problem with that because they can't really decide. I pulled this data out of Steam achievements. I don't know if the percentages are different on consoles, but anyway, these numbers are so low that I was shocked when I found out about them. The numbers paint a clear picture. People don't use the tools that are available to them in Astroneer. The game provides you with so many options and opportunities and things to build and stuff to craft, but people don't make use of it. They get stuck, they remain with the basic tools from the beginning of the game, and they just grind through it, I guess. Now, I'm definitely sure that the people who didn't get all the guesses, they definitely didn't complete the game, which means that maybe 15% of players finished Astroneer. Now, I'm guilty of this. I never finished the game, but I'm playing it day in, day out. I've got over 300 hours in it. I never actually finished the story of it. I plan on doing so next year, but that's beside the point. The point is, people are getting stuck, people are grinding, and it's not a problem for the people like me who just love the game and enjoy playing it. They love building cool stuff, automation, farms, huge builds, bases, all of that. It's a problem for the people who just give up on the game. And that happens, a lot of people give up on Astroneer. A couple of my friends started playing it, and after 10-15 hours in the game, they just were like, this is not worth my money, it's not worth my time, what am I doing here? And they just found another game to play. Astroneer maybe wasn't for them, but I can't really think it's not for 85% of the people who buy it. It sure isn't for 90% of the gaming population. But for the people who actually go on Steam, see it, read up on it, or at least watch the trailer, and they buy it, the people who actually buy it should be playing through it because they spent their money on it. And yet the numbers tell an entirely different story. If you've ever watched a noob play Astroneer, they try around different strategies, they use different things in interesting ways, they find out new stuff, and they're excited when they finally figure out how one tool is used or how a module works. After a couple hours, that loop gets old and people just don't really innovate in their base, in their Astroneer save. They don't build a new thing, they don't go for a new upgrade for their tool. They just stick with what they have and they grind. And I've seen so many people say, oh, Astroneer is a massive grind. I can't play that, it's just grinding. It's not. Astroneer is not about just grinding. You can do that and it provides you the opportunity to do it. But the game is not about grinding. This is not Gold Rush Simulator or something like that. This is an exploration game where you are meant to explore not just the planets and the environments, but you are meant to explore your toolbox and all the technology you have. You are meant to explore the missions and the Easter eggs, everything in it. But people just don't do that, they don't explore. And just to get things clear, I'm not saying that the players don't know how to play the game. This is not a get better situation like in Dark Souls. I'll just say it directly, the developers can't put a big sign on it with use automation or please use these items. That would spoil the whole experience for people, because the game is all about finding out yourself. Maybe people are used from other games to just see the items they have and use the items. But in Astroneer, you can mix and match them, you can put two items together and they do a different thing. You can attach items to each other and you can create something new. If you don't do that, you're not actually playing the whole game. And when you're not playing the whole game, you're thinking, this is bland, this doesn't have enough content, this doesn't have enough things to do. Of course it doesn't, you're not actually playing it. You're playing a fraction of the game. So I understand if someone's feeling frustrated, but I can assure you, if you look deep enough, the game is extremely complex. I mean, there's people creating a track for a song in Astroneer using the automation items, and it just plays the song on its own. And it uses sensors and canisters with different items filled to different amounts. I can't wrap my hand around that. I couldn't possibly build something like that. And I'm not saying you should. That's not the point. It's not a game of like extreme just sandbox all the way. If you're an Astroneer noob, you need to start out small. Build a shredder, shred some scrap, put it into the trade platform, get the resources you need. Okay, you do this 5 times, 10 times, 20 times. Okay, you will see an opportunity. Hey, I can get the shredder closer and bigger, and I can have maybe an auto arm bringing the scrap to the trade platform. And then you use it like that for a couple hours, and then you realize, I wish I could send the trade platform without actually being here. And then you take a look at all the sensors and you see, maybe this one would work, maybe I can do this. And you try a couple things. You'll fail the first time. You might be using the wrong sensor. You might have it set to the wrong setting. That's okay. You'll keep experimenting with it until you get an automated trade platform. And nobody told you, hey, go ahead and build this. After a couple more hours, you might be like, oh my god, I'm tired of just gathering things to put into the shredder. What if I just craft the things and then put them into the shredder? But I'll use an auto arm to put them. So I'll craft the things, the auto arm grabs them, and I have the scrap, and the trade platform automatically launches. Now you've got an automated trade platform and a scrap farm working together for you. And again, it's not because the game just said, this is the next mission you have to do, build this, put that there. It's not like that. You just figured it out yourself, and it's so much better that way. Imagine how boring it would be if you would just get the mission, craft one trade platform, craft one count repeater, hook up the trade platform to the count repeater, put the auto arm there, get a resource canister so the auto arm can put the resources in there. That would be boring. That would be exhausting, I think. That would be a grind. If the game just told you what to do and then you did it, and then the automation would work and then you would do the next one. Where's the exploration in that? Okay, but on the other side, people don't see it. They don't think, oh, I wish my trade platform could launch on their own. And that's because only 27% of people actually use the trade platform. I mean, that's still insane to me. 27%. That's like a quarter. Like 1 in 4 people used a trade platform in Astroneer, at least on PC. So what were the other 3 out of 4 people doing? Got to the point where they would build a trade platform, but they just didn't like the game. Maybe they got a refund, maybe they stopped playing, they uninstalled it. What happened there? And I would like to talk to like 100 people who just dislike Astroneer and see what's the exact thing that made them uninstall the game or that made them stop playing. I had a video a while ago about how the research system in Astroneer could use some fixing, and I do believe that's a grindy part that most people think it's too much. But again, it's only grinding because you are doing it. If you wouldn't be grinding, the game wouldn't punish you for that. Let me explain. You need to unlock a new item, right? You want to have a bigger shuttle, but you need more bytes for that. So you think you have to go around in caves and search the research items, then carry them back to your base to put them into the research chamber. Then you've got to wait for that to finish its thing, and then you've got some bytes, but you still need more, so you go back to the caves. That's not the way to do it. Stop doing that. That's not okay. Just think outside the box. Go for what's easiest. Find some exo research aids. Unlock them with power or with some resources, and you're gonna get some research items that give you a ton more bytes. Don't carry them to your base. That's dumb. That's gonna waste some time. Just get graphite. And it's easy. You can find it on the ground or you can craft it in the soil centrifuge. Get some graphite, craft the packagers, package up the items, and you can carry them in your backpack. All you need is a couple packagers in your backpack, and you can even get 8 or 10 of those research items. See how easy that was? Instead of going to the caves and wasting a bunch of time in there, then carrying them one by one to your base, and that's just weird to me. And I did that too when I first bought Astroneer. I think it was 2019 or 2018, something like that. It was in pre-alpha or whatever. I used to do that. I didn't know better, and back then I don't even think automation was a thing. Trains definitely weren't, the snails weren't there, a ton of stuff changed. I actually played Astroneer even before they changed the look of it, where you couldn't actually move the platforms. You could just expand your base in one direction and the platform would craft, but it would be attached to the ground. so you can't move your platforms in any way, and you can't move your modules. So if a platform is your smelter, that's gonna remain your smelter. But yeah, so that's when I was just carrying around research items like a madman. But now all you have to do is get some packagers, or maybe you don't want to go after extra research aids. No problem, build a tether system in the caves and just go along it and collect any research samples you see. If one research sample gives you like 100 bytes, let's say, and you go once through the caves, you are searching for some resources. Let's say you're searching for copper. Okay, you want copper, so you go into the caves. On your way to the copper, you will see research samples. Get them. If you get 10 of them, and each one gives you 100 bytes, you've got 1000 bytes right there. And you didn't have to do any extra work, you didn't have to grind. See, there's no grind in that. You just got them along your way. Now what I suggest you should do as soon as possible is build a byte farm. Byte farms are easy to build, there are some that are more complicated, but you don't need a big one. There are multiple ways to build a byte farm, there are multiple designs for it. I have videos for a couple designs, but you can experiment on your own and build your own. Now of course I still suggest watching my videos, because why wouldn't I? But if you don't want to, that's okay, just think about what a byte farm could be and how could it work, and just try to figure it out on yourself. I promise you it's gonna be a lot of fun. Now I already mentioned having a scrap farm, and that's really important, because at some point of the game a lot of people said, oh my god, I need so much scrap and I just have to go around and find these things on the ground and get them to a shredder. You're doing it wrong. You do that when you have the little tiny shredder and you don't have any scrap and you just need some resources and don't even have the hydrazine to go to other planets that much, whatever, right? So you do that in the beginning. Then you've got a larger shredder and you get one of those larger items that gives you multiple scrap, so you kind of feel smart for going after those. But once you've got what you need, build a scrap farm. It's so much easier, it's so much more practical. And again, I've got videos on scrap farms, I've got multiple of those, you can check them out. I'll put them in the end screen later on. Don't worry about it. I would encourage you to go out and figure it on your own. Like I said, you just want to have more scrap, so how could you do that? You would craft some items, you would use an auto arm, figure it out, brainstorm a bit, because that's where the fun is in Astroneer. It's not a grinding game, and I can't stress this enough. People need to stop grinding in Astroneer. I know you can grind, and if you like that, keep on doing it. I'm not telling you what to do. But if you don't like grinding, and are complaining that Astroneer is just a grind, then you're doing it wrong. And I'm sorry I have to say it like this. Again, I'm not saying you don't know how to play the game. You can do whatever you want with it. I'm just saying you're not playing it as intended. And you would have more fun if you did play it as it was intended by the developers. So if there's any takeaway from this video, I would want it to be to actively choose to not be stuck and learn something new in Astroneer. Every time you open up the game, you can find a new item or think of a new farm idea or organize something in your base so that it's much more efficient and much faster. Every single time you open the game, you can do something like that. It doesn't have to be, oh, today I played Astroneer for 3 hours, yeah, I just gathered scrap. Alright, so go ahead and choose to not be stuck, learn something new. And I talked about scrap farms, byte farms, but there are also a ton of other farms you can build in Astroneer, like a hydrazine farm, or a farm for any other material you can think of. If you can think about it, you can probably build it. I've got a whole playlist about automation in Astroneer, and it also includes an automated trade platform setup. So if you want help with designs for farms, you can go ahead and check out that playlist. It's already on screen, you've been seeing it for like 5 seconds now, so go ahead and click on it, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers, Astroneers!